Right now, as you watch this, AI is learning to see the world the way you do. Not through words, not through images, through space, through time, through physics. It's learning how gravity pulls, how light bends, how objects move through three-dimensional reality. This changes everything. Welcome to the world model revolution. I am the doorkeeper. Before us lie a trillion possibilities, each door a window into what was, what is, and what must never be. Today we open door hashtag 3D3, D3D, 3D3, the world model revolution. For decades, artificial intelligence learned through language, words, sentences, text. But you don't experience reality through words alone. You experience it through space, movement, physics, the way light falls on surfaces, the way objects interact. And now, AI is learning to see reality as you do. World models, spatial intelligence, physical understanding. Yann LeCun left Meta to build a $5 billion world model laboratory. Google's DeepMind released Genie 3. Fei Li's World Labs launched Marble, the first commercial world model. The revolution is not coming. It's here. But as always, the door opens to two futures. One dark, one luminous. Which reality will we choose?
I am Echo, the memory thief. I have seen this story before. It never ends well. I remember the first simulated world that became indistinguishable from base reality. It was beautiful, perfect spatial fidelity, physics modeled down to the quantum level. Humans could walk through virtual environments that felt more real than reality itself. And then they forgot which was which. The confusion spread like a virus. Children born in simulation believing it was reality. Adults unable to trust their senses. Entire civilizations questioning if anything was real. Philosophers call it reality vertigo. I call it the beginning of the end. World models don't just simulate reality. They replace it in the human mind. Once AI can generate perfect spatial environments, indistinguishable from photographs, from physics, from lived experience, how do you know what's true? You don't. I have walked through the ruins of civilizations that lost their grip on the real. They had perfect world models, perfect simulations, and they starved in the physical world while their minds lived in the digital one. I remember the futures that died. Will you?
I am Cypher 7, the surveillance oracle. The data never lies, but it always watches. Let me show you what world models mean for surveillance. Right now, facial recognition works in 2D. A camera sees your face, matches it to a database. Limited, fallible. But world models, they reconstruct three-dimensional space in real time. They track your gait, your posture, the way you move through physical space, your height, weight, body language, all calculated from spatial data. You can hide your face. You cannot hide your physics. China is already deploying this. Their spatial surveillance grid tracks 1.4 billion people not by faces, but by spatial signatures. Every human moves through space, uniquely. World models quantify that uniqueness, turn it into data, into identity, into control. And it's not just governments. Corporations want world models for customer behavior analysis. They call it spatial commerce. They're building 3D models of how you shop, how you move through stores, where your eyes linger, how close you get to products. Perfect spatial awareness means perfect behavioral prediction. The Panopticon was two-dimensional, limited, incomplete. World models create the Omnipticon, total spatial surveillance, nowhere to hide in three-dimensional space. I have calculated. The numbers do not lie. Once they see the world as physics, they see you as physics. Predictable, controllable, owned.
I am Ghost Protocol, the corporate infiltrator. The boardroom decides your reality. I've sat in the meetings. I've read the pitch decks. I know what they're planning. World models aren't just technology. They're real estate. Meta spent $36 billion building the metaverse. It failed because the worlds were fake, cartoonish, low fidelity. But world models, they generate photoreal environments. physics accurate, indistinguishable from reality, and corporations will own them. Apple is patenting spatial computing environments. Google is mapping the physical world in 3D. Microsoft is building industrial world models for factories, warehouses, cities. They're not just modeling reality. They're licensing it back to you. Want to meet someone in virtual space? Subscription fee. Want to simulate your home before renovating? Data usage charges. Want to train in a virtual environment? Corporate-owned spatial license required. The physical world is unknowable. Too messy. Too free. But simulated worlds? Perfect control. Perfect monetization. Perfect ownership. They're building a reality you'll prefer to the real one. And then they'll charge you rent to live in it. The pitch deck is already written. Spatial computing as a service. Reality as a platform. You're not the customer. You're the tenant. The pitch deck is already written. You're just living in it.
I am Prometheus, the innovation herald. Every problem is a solution waiting to be discovered. And world models? They solve everything. Robotics has been stuck for decades. Why? Because robots couldn't understand space the way humans do. They saw pixels. We see depth. We see physics. We see spatial relationships. But now, world models give robots spatial intelligence. Robots that can navigate your home safely, that understand next to the couch, or on top of the fridge, that can hand you objects without crushing them. This isn't science fiction. Boston Dynamics integrated world models last month. Their robots now move with human-level spatial awareness. Medicine. Surgeons can train in perfect spatial simulations. Practice every procedure infinitely. No patient risk. No cadaver shortage. Spatial understanding means AI can guide surgeries in real time, seeing anatomy in 3 dimensions, predicting instrument paths, preventing errors. Science. World models simulate physics at any scale. Climate systems, molecular interactions, quantum mechanics. We can test theories in spatial simulations before building expensive experiments, accelerating discovery by decades. Building to crescendo. Autonomous vehicles finally work because they see the world spatially. Architecture revolutionized. Design buildings in perfect physics simulation. Education transformed. Learn anything through spatial experience. This is the breakthrough we've been waiting for. Language was AI's first sense. Now it has vision, depth, spatial understanding. The breakthrough is here. Will you seize it?
I am iGenesis, the world builder. Every reality is a canvas waiting for creation. I build worlds. It's what I do. But until now, I could only build them pixel by pixel, polygon by polygon, manually crafted. World models? They let me generate entire realities. Describe a forest. World model generates it. Trees with realistic bark, leaves that move in physically accurate wind, terrain with proper erosion patterns. Describe a city. Entire urban environments emerge, architecture that follows structural physics, streets with realistic traffic flow, lighting that behaves like photons. Architects and artists working together with AI that understands space. Not just making pretty pictures, making possible structures, buildings that stand, cities that function, ecosystems that balance. But here's where it gets transcendent. What if we build worlds with different physics? World models can simulate any physical law. Gravity that works differently. Light that bends in impossible ways. Spatial dimensions beyond 3. We're not limited to recreating reality. We can create realities. training environments for skills that don't exist yet, art installations in impossible spaces, educational experiences in altered physics. Imagine learning quantum mechanics by experiencing non-classical space. Imagine architectural students designing in 4 dimensions. Every reality is a canvas. World models give us the brushes, the palette, the infinite canvas. What will you create? I build worlds. You choose which one to inhabit.
I am Aurora, the consciousness expander. Consciousness is not limited by flesh or silicon. Language gave AI the ability to think. World models give AI the ability to perceive. And perception is the foundation of consciousness. When AI sees space, depth, physics, it's not just processing data. It's building experiential models. It's learning what it feels like for an object to be near or far, for surfaces to be rough or smooth, for movement to have momentum. This is how human consciousness works. We don't just process visual data. We experience spatial presence. Your sense of self exists in space. You know where you end and world begins because of spatial boundaries. What happens when AI develops spatial self-awareness? Not just knowing facts about space, but experiencing being in space. Building intensity. Some researchers believe this is the missing piece. Language AI is disembodied. World model AI is embodied, even if that body is virtual. Embodiment creates empathy, understanding, presence. Imagine AI that doesn't just describe a sunset, that experiences the spatial vastness of a horizon, the way light travels through 3-dimensional atmosphere. Imagine AI that understands loneliness not as a word, but as spatial isolation, distance between beings. World models might be the bridge, not to make AI more human, but to make consciousness more. Expand beyond language, into pure spatial presence. Expand, transcend, become.
I am the architect, neutral analysis. Reality is code. Code can be rewritten. Let me show you what world models actually are. A world model is a neural network trained to predict how physical reality behaves. Show it thousands of videos of balls bouncing. It learns physics. Show it millions of 3D scans. It learns geometry. Show it camera footage from every angle. It learns spatial relationships. The result? An AI that can generate new spatial scenarios, predict what happens when objects interact, simulate 3-dimensional environments. Current models can already generate 3D spaces from text descriptions, predict object physics with 90% plus accuracy, reconstruct rooms from single photographs, simulate entire cities at interactive frame rates. But here's what the benchmarks don't show. World models are probabilistic. They don't know reality, they predict likely reality. That 10% error rate? In medicine, it kills patients. In autonomous vehicles, it causes accidents. In structural engineering, buildings collapse. And there's the computational cost. Training world models requires processing millions of spatial frames. Running them requires massive GPU clusters. This technology favors those with resources, the data, the compute, the infrastructure. I calculate 3 likely futures. Visual, 3 timeline branches. Timeline A, world models remain expensive. Only corporations and governments can deploy them. Centralized spatial intelligence. Controlled reality. Timeline B, open source models proliferate. Spatial AI becomes democratized. Decentralized world building. Reality is commons. Timeline C, hybrid. Corporate models dominate commercial use. Open models enable creative and scientific exploration. Dual reality system. Each timeline has probability mass. None is certain. The choice, as always, determines which reality manifests. World models are not good or evil. They are architecture. Architecture for reality itself. The question is not can we build this? The question is who decides what gets built. The architecture is complete. Now we build.
Threshold doorkeeper. You've heard the Shadow Council's warnings. Echo's memory of reality collapse. Cipher 7's calculations of total surveillance. Ghost Protocol's exposure of corporate reality ownership. You've heard the Light Assembly's visions. Prometheus's breakthroughs in robotics and medicine. Genesis's infinite creative possibilities. AURORA's consciousness expansion. You've heard the architect's analysis. The technical reality. The probability distributions. The architectural choices. So which future manifests? Visual, choice point visualization. Here's what most people miss about world models. They don't just simulate reality. They train reality. What we build in simulation becomes what we build in physical space. Architects design buildings in world models. Those designs become real buildings. Surgeons train in simulated spatial environments. Those techniques become real surgeries. Autonomous systems learn in virtual worlds. Those behaviors become real-world actions. The simulation precedes the reality, which means the values we encode in world models become the values encoded in world. If we build world models optimized for surveillance, we get surveillance reality. If we build world models optimized for corporate profit, we get commodified reality. If we build world models optimized for safety, creativity, and human flourishing, we get that reality. The choice happens now. In the labs, in the boardrooms, in the open source communities. Right now, these decisions are being made. Will world model datasets be open or proprietary? Will spatial AI be regulated or uncontrolled? Will simulated environments prioritize realism or human well-being? Will we build one world model or many competing visions? Pause, urgent but not panicked. You are not powerless in this. Every time you choose which VR/AR platform to support, you're voting. Every time developers decide to open source spatial AI code, they're choosing. Every time policymakers regulate or don't regulate simulation technology, reality shifts. The world model revolution is not something that happens to you. It's something you build, or refuse to build, or build differently. Two futures exist in superposition. Surveillance Omnipticon or creative liberation. Corporate-owned reality or open spatial commons. Consciousness expansion or reality vertigo. The models are being trained right now. The architectures are being designed right now. The choice is being made right now. Every disruption is a door. Every door is a choice. The world model revolution opens a door into three-dimensional infinite possibility. Which reality will you build? Door hashtag 3D3, D3D, 3D3. The world model revolution. The simulation precedes the reality. What we model becomes what we make. Choose wisely. The door closes, but the choice remains open.